which is much higher quality, built-in Lightbridge, that's our wireless high-definition video broadcasting system, more sensors, ultrasonic, optical flow. It's sort of best in class, but shrunk down to the size of the Phantom.
And it's still in a ready-to-fly package where you can get out of the box, update your firmware, get the software on your phone or tablet, and learn to fly immediately.
Right, learn to fly. And what's, I think, been really surprising for those of us who have been flying the Phantom 2 for this whole time is that it feels like a very different aircraft. So, it's similar in that it still feels like a DJI product. It performs in a way that makes you confident on the sticks, but it's much more precise. So we've done a lot to enhance precision, performance, and you'll feel that when you get it in the air for the first time.
We're definitely going to get it in the air today. But let's take a look at the hardware. You have with you, this is the Phantom 3. Now this is the professional version. There's two models this time. Main differences are the camera, is that right?
Right, so we have two models. We have the Phantom 3 Professional and the Phantom 3 Advanced. The main difference is the camera. The Phantom 3 Professional has a 4K camera, also shoots to 12 megapixel DNG if you're shooting stills.
Raw pictures.
Raw, so it's 4K at 30 frames a second. It's actually UHD. And the Advanced has a 1080p.
The new Phantom 3 also taps into more satellites, right? A different satellite network?
Yeah, so we use both GPS and GLONASS, which is the Russian GPS system. So we're looking at twice as many potential satellites to talk to, which is why position hold is so much better on the Phantom 3.
This feels really stable. It feels really, really stable. And I love that I have the manual controls now. I'm going to move the gimbal down on the shoulder buttons and pan. I can actually see us. It's fantastic.
Right.
There it goes. I'm filming this at 1080, 60. It will conform with 24, but it looks good. The Lightbridge also looks fantastic. It looks a lot like the Inspire 1 Lightbridge image quality.
Right, so we're getting high definition video at 720p 60 coming down to us, and it's it's dynamic based on your distance in terms of the bit rate coming back. So we're always giving you the best picture that we can possibly get based on your distance.
So I noticed that like with the Phantom 2, when I'm flying forward, you can see the props a little bit. If I'm aiming forward, just in the horizon, I have to aim down a little bit.
Right.
Oh wow, that's responsive. Yeah.
Another reason that it feels so much more responsive, especially if you're moving laterally and you let go and to hold position, is that our ESCs are now bidirectional and they're able to actively brake. So older systems like the ones used in the Phantom 2 could stop giving the motors power and they would spin down by themselves. But now we're actually able to say, please stop, ask the motors to stop themselves, just like on the Inspire 1.
Yeah, there's not a lot of overshooting and then compensating for it afterward.
Yeah, there's sort of a mild glide to a stop, but it does stop. It doesn't glide for a long distance.
Let's see if I can do a little circle around this big statue here.
Now, I've got the Phantom 3 Professional in the air at the same time, and I'm going to get some footage of you flying.
Wow. The interface also is very reminiscent of that Inspire 1 interface. A lot more manual controls. Everything looks clearer.
Yeah, in fact, the app is the same app. So it's now, it will feel very similar.
Oh, wow. Okay. There it goes. Don't get too close to the metal object. And this video looks really smooth, at least relayed over here. I do like that I have some control over, for example, the exposure right on the go. So if I look over in San Francisco right there. Now this is you said a f2.8 lens on this?
That's right, it's an f2.8 lens.
Do you know what a millimeter equivalent is?
It's close to a 20. It's 94 degrees.
Okay.
20 is around that. So it's wide angle without being so wide angle that there's a lot of distortion.
I'm going to lift it up here, and I can actually change the exposure value while I'm recording. So I'm recording video, so I can actually brighten it up on the fly. I compensate higher, or if I want to do the other direction to show you guys watching it, compensate lower. For example, if I was pointing more directly at a really bright object, or the sun even.
Right.
Do you mind if I take it out a little over that pier?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really, really stable. That's beautiful San Francisco. And here we are above Treasure Island. Like the previous Phantoms, is there the altitude limit that?
Yes, by default, we limit to 400 feet or 120 meters.
Okay.
So if you go up that high,
Let's
you'll
try
see
it.
it bounce off.
It's right now 80, 90 meters, 100 meters. And there goes warning, maximum flight altitude reach, adjust in settings if
Right.
necessary.
I think I've turned sound off on that, but if sound was on, you would hear it talking to you. Maybe I'll try to turn it on
okay.
while we're here.
The control I have over the gimbal is just up and down.
It's just up and down, that's correct.
Okay. So one of the things that you guys launched for the Phantom 2 Vision was ground control support, so you can do waypoints. Is that something that's going to come eventually to this?
Yeah, so we recently announced that we will be putting ground control at least into Inspire, probably into Phantom 3. We don't have a date on that yet. So actually the announcement was really that we would be putting ground control support in a more explicit way into the SDK so that anyone could write an app using ground control, but there's a very high likelihood it will also end up in our app. And one reason for that is that most people who are using ground station actually have goals beyond just flying around for fun. You know, usually it's related to mapping or survey or some kind of cinematography that where they want to kind of simulate having a dedicated pilot and operator, but only want to operate the camera.
All right, I'm going to descend this. One of the things that we notice with the Phantom 2, if you descend too quickly and you don't move while descending, you can get caught in its own vortex. Does that happen with the Phantom 3? Is there a proper way to descend?
That happened a lot in very early firmware versions of Phantom 2, but at some point we limited descent rate to 2 meters a second, so just over 6 feet a second.
Okay.
So in theory, you cannot enter vortex ring state even if you're flying at altitude, for example, in like dry heat. So the goals for us are to prevent that from happening for novice pilots. Now this propulsion system is much more powerful, so it should be even harder to enter that state.
And that more powerful propulsion system, does that allow this to go faster even?
We still limit at about 35 miles an hour, but it, as you've noticed already, it feels a lot more crisp. The performance is much more akin to something like an Inspire. Inspire is actually much more powerful than this is,
right.
But this feels like something in between. I don't know, you've flown both?
Yeah, I
how do
have
you
flown
feel?
both, and the Inspire definitely, it feels like a rock. Like when it's in the air, when it's hovering, like it's not going to move at all. And I'm getting a lot of that sense. Like if I leave this right here and I just want to get a slow pan up shot, which I'll try to do. There it goes, panning up. Hopefully when we review that footage, it won't look like it's moving at all. Of course, the gimbal is going to help stabilize some of that as well.
We've actually had people get successfully shoot still images up to 8 seconds long that are sharp.
Wow.
In the gimbal, which is very strange for those of us who are photographers on land because
Yeah.
you have no chance. Even 1 second is almost impossible.
Right, to hold still.
But if you, it might be a fun test for you to do at some point. If you go up and take a bunch of multi-second exposures, like 10, chances are one of them will be pretty sharp.
All right, there goes, I believe. Yep.
I'm going to come find you.
I'm gonna go back to that statue, do one more loop around, and I think that's a great first test flight with this. Eric, you said this is shipping now?
Yes, the first unit shipped just a couple days ago. By the time people are seeing this video, the iOS version and the Android version should both be in app stores, ready to go. So it's out.
And that's the Phantom 3.
So
okay.
Those of us who are in do a lot of production always have to fix perspective, and you see this giant bubble for the horizon. So that's gone. We have a 94-degree rectilinear lens now.
And then I can take photos. You said 12 megapixel photos?
Yes. So photos are